Hello everybody, welcome to the second video of Thursday. This one is a Thronebreaker guide. If you check out the link in the description, it will take you to a Google Drive spreadsheet which has all of the informations. Due to the time frame and some stuff going on at the moment, I haven't had time to create any kind of like infographic, which in the future I do plan to do. But for the time being, this is the April 2023 Thronebreaker / Cavalier boss counters and path counters as well. 1.1 is all about champions that are cosmic based champions for this, because we've got crack in the armor. There's tons of champions to choose from, whether or not you go Angela, Null, Cosmic Ghost Rider, Corvus, Medusa, Terex. Quick access to armor break champions are the way to go with this. And your boss for 1.1 is Miles Morales. Now for Miles Morales, my favorite cheese option for this was Archangel. It is a bit of a risky one because the enemy champion has double determination, which means that as soon as you are doing your parry heavy, you're doing bleed, you're doing poisons, you are effectively charging up the champion with power. But SP2 rotations are quite nice and easy to kind of like deal with and rotate around, but do watch out for Bubble Shield. Bubble Shield will mean that your block proficiency is going to go to Nout, which is UK North for 0, and yeah, that's not going to be too great. There's just those things to watch out for. Whenever a taunt debuff is applied on the attacker, it does mean that you're going to be power drained. So it's up to you how you want to approach this, whether you want champions that deal with being immune to power control. Again, that's down to you, like Venompool or Dr. Doom, or you want to power control yourself, then again, that's down to you. Power control, miss options could be another option as well. And that's why I've put in my notes that you can do the likes of Hercules with SP1 rotation, Nick Fury with tactical charges, Cosmic Ghost Rider, and Professor X. You choose your approach of how you want to take this down. I'm sure other people will go different ways. Quest 1.2 is all about champions that are tech champions. This is Engineered Fracture. For Engineered Fracture, you can go different ways with this, whether or not it's in case that you just want to do some kind of things that deal with healing. And you got the likes of Warlock with Infection and an SP2 rotation, which is quite nice to do. Star-Lord with an SP2 and Luck. But I would say champions like Hulkbuster, Penny Parker, Awakened work for me as well very nicely. Mysterio with a 4th light attack can be very helpful. Civil Warrior, heavy attack. Doc Ock with Breakthrough, and so many other champion options, and there's probably more that I should be adding to this. Your boss for this content is going to be Doc Ock. Now again, it's down to you how you feel that you want to take this on. I used Magneto. I found that one of the easiest options to deal with it, but there are potentially better options available to you depending on how you want to break this down. And how you need to break this down and look at this is defensive transference playing into electric defense. In a nutshell, defensive transference is that the enemy is getting armor up, okay? That's good for the enemy? No, not completely, because each time the defender is struck while under the effect of an armor up buff, they will power burn the attacker for 5% of a bar of power. So it kind of plays into one another. So whilst you've done the heavy attacks with Aegis to get past that, then you've got to be very careful about building up the champion with armor. So I would say it's either one or many options to take it down. You choose at the end of the day. As I said, Magneto is an option, but what about the likes of suppressing that armor up with something like a Stagger or a Nullify, which kind of puts you in the line of the likes of Juggernaut, Doctor Doom, Sasquatch, Black Widow, Clairvoyant, and many more Nullifiers and Stagger champions, or armor break champions with the likes of Corvus, Medusa, Terex, Angela, and so many more. But what about power burn and power lock immune champions like Venompool or Doctor Doom? And so many more. So again, it's down to you how you feel like you want to take on this particular content that's best suited for you and the roster that you have. Quest 2.1, and this one is going to be all about those science champions with Scientific Exploit. With Scientific Exploit, again, it's down to you how you want to build these champions to go up against. Debuff champions can be the way with the likes of Immortal Abomination, Abomination with Red Guardian, Quicksilver, Spider-Man 2099, which is my personal favourite. My second personal favourite is Mr. Fantastic, even better when you've got She-Hulk with him. Can really deal with some stuff. Immortal Hulk, Cat with Cosmic and Tech. You may even want to do a skill-based champion with that one as well, just to kind of like have quick shrug-offs and things, if that's going to be helpful to you. And so many more champions. Actually, Human Torch, another good option. And of course, your boss for 2.1 has got to be Stealth Suit Spider-Man. This champion is a hashtag metal-based champion. It is up to you if you want to go and take this champion down by those means. It's also up to you whether or not you want to use Archangel. I think I used that, and that may be the footage that's going to be beamed on top of this particular section. The other thing is to look at this is tackle this in either two ways or combine. So I'll give you a good example. As part of the best defense, the enemy champion will be like more susceptible to auto block and evade. Now there are some things to deal with this, whether or not you go down the route of a true accuracy champion, and also Mole Man does deal with some pesky disorient that you might get on yourselves as a result of defective defense. So defective defense comes around and you're like, oh god, this isn't too good. Could use Apocalypse for this. I'm not saying it will be a good option or won't be a good option. It's just got an ability to deal with evade and as well deals with disorient. But there are other options that may be better for this. As I said, champions that deal with disorient, that you don't really have to worry too much about the auto block or focus on that less. Jabari Panther, Karnak, Kingpin, Misty Knight, to name but a few. But as I said, one of the main options that I personally enjoy is dealing with the auto block, because I can find it a little bit intrusive and annoying, and as well that evade. That's where Falcon, Odin, and as I said, one of my favourite ones for this was Mole Man. So Mole Man can be a great option for this. 2.2 sees Punishment Glutton. Punishment Glutton is all about your skill-based champions, and it could be the likes of Black Widow Deadly Origin, Nick Fury, Gwenpool, Squirrel, Falcon, to name but a few, and there's so many more. I'm not saying that those are the quintessential ones, there's just lots of different options. Champs that have easy access to damaging debuff effects quickly. I'm talking when you do lights, when you do mediums, you have access to some of these particular effects that allow you to just get the Fury passives quickly and do damage quickly as well. Nick Fury is my favourite one of this one, and I'm still rocking the 5-star version. Damn, was my 6-star version. Your enemy champion for 2.2 is going to be Mysterio. Now, this champion has Contagion, Diversion, Academic Constitution, and Feat of Energy. This is going to be down to you again on your approach and what you feel is the best way to deal with this. For me personally, because Contagion was kind of the focus point because of the poison, and also Diversion is something that has miss, it does slow down the process of how you approach and kind of fight. That's why I was like, okay, well, I'll use Human Torch, which reduces down the poison effects. It deals with miss if you are there with Nova Flame, and as well deals with Contagion because of, you know, that. And does a lot of damage. And as well, the champion is going to be rotating around throwing special attacks. That wasn't the quintessential, I wouldn't say best way. It's an option. It's a cheesy option. It's a low effort option, but there could be some better options for this. Whether or not you have a poison counter that has good power control, and also you play into Diversion. In a nutshell, if you keep your distance, you won't get miss. Or the enemy you won't miss an attack on there, which can be very bad. Okay, so that may be the option of going, right, well, I'll choose tech robot champions that power control that can be helpful for this. So power control, because after a certain point with Feat of Energy, the enemy gains a power gain buff. So that's the best way to take it down. Any other champions non-poison immune, you're going to be poisoned, so you may need to deal with that in a certain way. Again, it's down to you whether or not you use robot champions like Warlock, for example. That's poison immune, but as well you could deal with kind of just keeping your distance when you're dealing with this particular champion. But there are also some science champions that got Petrify, and as you know, Petrify is able to suppress things with power. So Mr. Fantastic, also Immortal Abomination, is a poison immune and, you know, is able to do a good amount of damage, so that could be a good option. Mr. Negative, and so many others. The Petrify debuff from She-Hulk as well, that's another option. On to 3.1, and this is all about mutant champions. Champions that have prowess as part of their kit mean that you're able to, and it's not the best option, but it's easy and quickly to rotate around doing lots of damage. Some of my favourites for this were Apocalypse, Kitty Pryde, and Magneto. I think it was. Both Magnetos work because they got prowess as part of their kit, and just you can be very kind of like quick on damage and build up. But as well, regen mutants can be helpful at the same time. It's not just about those. It's just a case of those are some of my personal favourites, and I think they're quite good on rotation. Against Sandman, this particular boss interaction is actually a lot more cleaner than you might think. It's a lot more easier, sorry, I think that's the point to get to. I made a complete meal of this when I first went against a champion. That's because I played against it the first time. The footage that may be beaming on top of here is going to be my first ever kind of like time going against a champion. But I didn't find it ridiculous that I wasn't going to take a lot of damage. There's lots of options: Valkyrie, Shang-Chi, Nick Fury, Elsa Bloodstone, and so many more. If you again, this is all about up to you on approach. I personally think champions like Kingpin, Karnak, Jabari Panther, Misty Knight, Crossbones, but don't throw your SP2 with that champion, are good to go against this. If you shrug off some of those debuff effects, it is beneficial for you for this. I think should have said Mole. I think Mole Man I needed to mention within that as well. But in any case, right, shrugging off those debuff effects get on you are going to be very important, and keep the enemy champion to an SP1 at all costs. It's going to be the best thing for you. The only other things that I need to mention is Limber. If Limber's annoying for you, which is basically at a certain time you're not able to parry, then look to having a white Magneto on your team. It may alleviate the pressure of having to kind of like, first of all, you get your parry, you get your stun, but because it's a stun effect and not a stun debuff, then you're able to continue on through that and counter that Limber attack. But again, it's down to you who you choose to use, and do be very careful because there's not many champions that and look, there is martial discipline, so I'm not saying quintessentially use some of those champions I said, like Kingpin, Jabari, whatever, right? It's just a case of going like, right, well, look, you can do it. It's just handy to have that quick shrug off that some of these champions that skill have within their kit, so important to do that. Oh, a new subscriber. And finally, we've got 3.2, which is all about your Mystic-based champions. This is Arcane Zeal. Any champion that's got Stagger, Nullifying, you're going to get the Fury passives. Doctor Doom, Sasquatch, Juggernaut. I love Juggernaut for this. Scarlet Witch, and so many more, like Mangog. The list goes on. If it nullifies, it's probably going to be effective. If it staggers, it's probably going to be effective as well. And finally, we move on to Shocker. See, it's no shocker that this champion is a little bit annoying. It's mainly a little bit annoying when it comes to Newton's Law and your approach to it. In a nutshell, Newton's Law is going to be a passive unstoppable, which you will need to intercept via light or the medium that Shocker will throw in order to have it shrugged off and deal any kind of damage. Also, the benefit is you get Foresight, which you get that 200% Fury passive, which is great, by the way. I would say I unwittingly had a, if it's stupid and it works, it's not stupid moment, in that using Nick Fury is actually a really cracking option, but I didn't realize it was going to be that good. I'll explain. So what Nick Fury does and has is that, first of all, we have this really annoying rushdown thing, this rushdown kind of like setup. And you will need to have 3 charges on your all time. If you don't have those 3 charges, you're going to become stun passived. So shrugging it off is going to be difficult. So you need champions that, if they've got stun immunity within their mechanic, that can be really helpful. Here comes Nick Fury. So Nick Fury, when I got him into phase 2, was able to at one point do Foresight at the point of a Newton's Law, which took a little bit of a while, as I found Shocker just not kind of receptive to move very well, and I found myself pinned against the wall. Not great. It's only after that I was able to kind of like, bash out through it, and I was able to do a lot of bleed damage and just kind of absolutely just destroyed Shocker as a result. But yeah, the champion is oddly not metal, which causes a problem because you'd be like, well, shouldn't I be able to use Magneto on this one? Apparently not. And that's a rarity, but it's a good rarity to have with these particular things. There is another way of looking at this from approach, whether or not you decide to suppress that Newton's Law. And again, this is down to you. What do you not like about this champion? And what would be your roster effective counter for this? And it may be a case of looking at the likes of, okay, well, it's got an unstoppable passive, it can be slow debuffed, and what say is the best way to do that? Well, you could go down the route of She-Hulk, Shang-Chi, maybe Quicksilver, Sorcerer Supreme, Stealth Suit Spider-Man, which has that amazing pre-fight, Red Guardian, to name but a few. I've heard other options being the likes of using Hercules and Hulkling. Do bear in mind, don't punish on the heavy attack, because it will be a case that if you interrupt it, you will be slapped with 300% of attacker's attack damage. And I would say, like, I'm interested to try it Namor on this one and see if he's kind of like gonna like reflect any damage back. I kind of feel that's a bit of a tall order. I don't particularly want to do it. I just threw it out there for a bit of fun. But in any case, case, all information is in the link in the description down below, and that has been my Thronebreaker guide for April of 2023. Check out some other content located on screen right now, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day, everybody. There may be one more video, I don't know. I'll see you later though. Bye bye.